Hello, this is John from Revit for Interior Designers. Today I have a new question from one of my subscribers. How to build a curtain wall. Okay, simple enough. How to build a curtain wall that's curved. Okay, so build a curtain wall that's curved, not a problem. How to build a curved curtain wall with a notch. Well, that's going to take a little bit more time. So, let's take a look how to make that happen in Revit. Right this way. Okay, today we're going to try to use Revit to create a odd condition that you find in a curtain wall using this source photograph here. So I've been given this picture, and the question was, how do I produce that little detail there where the wall is sort of notching around this curtain wall? It's happening on both sides. It's a rather odd detail, but let's see what we can do in Revit to remedy this situation. Okay, so I'm in Revit here. I'm going to go to the wall command, and I'll launch a start end radius arc. And I will just draw a little sample wall here. I'll pull it out. I'll start a little radius. And then I'll come in here as well and maybe use some whole numbers here. So maybe I'll use 20 feet of the radius. I'll make this exactly, let's say 60 degrees. So I've got a wall here. Now, I can take this wall and I can immediately go into my wall types and I can transform it into a storefront. I'm assuming everyone knows how to build a storefront and modify a storefront. And I'll just use Revit out of the box curtain wall system called storefront. I'll choose that. There it is. As you can see, the curve is not necessarily curvilinear when it becomes a curtain wall. It becomes segmented. And that's fine. This is exactly the look that we're after in the sample photograph. So I'm going to go to the north elevation here. I'll take a look at the wall, and I will change its height. So I'm going to hit Tab. I'll click on this curtain wall, and here I'll simply have it go up to the second level. And I hit OK. Now, if I return to our source material here, and again, this is the condition that we're trying to fix here. Now, here's the condition we're trying to fix. So it looks like there's a full height panel here. Then there's a couple of intermediate horizontal segments here, and then it's been notched above in that location there. So let's see if we can mimic that kind of look and feel. So I will go ahead and add a new grid line here using the grid command, and I will place it, for example, here. I can then grab this grid line and move it down further, so I can hit Tab, find it there, unpin it because this is part of a saved wall type, and again, selecting that grid line there, I can change this number here, maybe perhaps make it 2 feet, perhaps make it 3 feet, as an example. So let's say this is the beginning of the design, and here is a notched location. So again, in the grid command, curtain grid command here, I will drop a vertical segment here. And you'll see that it goes clear through the entire system. And I only want a portion of it. I only want it to affect its topmost panel. Because if I go through the entire system, as you can see here in the floor plan, it will take this last panel and it will add a grid line there, and it will become yet another segment. This is happening because at 4 feet it runs into a mullion, so I'm going to quickly change in my properties my view range and slightly adjust the height of it to maybe 5 feet, slicing through this wall at 5 feet instead of 4 feet, and hopefully it'll be an intermediate area above the horizontal mullions that are here. Hit apply, and there I can see the glass panels, and there's this guy here cutting clear through, which I don't want to do this. I don't want to create that segment there. So I'm going to go back to the north elevation. I'm going to grab that grid line by using tab, tab, click on the grid line when you see it, and hit delete on your keyboard. It's gone. What I really want is a segment. So I'll go back to the grid command, I'll go here, one segment, and I'll just affect this one area here, grid to grid. And if you understand how curtain walls work, this is pretty clear. I'm going to click it there. Now I'm going to make another one here. Let's say I want to notch it somewhere about right there. And here what I want to do is get rid of this leg. Tab, tab, tab. You can see this is the grid line, and I want to get rid of this leg here. So if I grab that mullion and unpin it, I can delete it on my keyboard, but that still keeps a grid line right there that I want to remove. So again, tab, 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 select the grid line, and actually grabbing all of them, so I don't want to grab them all. Tab, 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 tab. That individual grid line there is what I want. I use add remove segments, and I put my mouse right here on this little segment that's visible. The rest of these are already invisible, but this one is not. Click, disappears, and I wound up with that little notched area here. Horizontal, vertical mullion. I got an extra panel, and then these two pieces here are going to get removed. Select this mullion, unpin it, hit delete on your keyboard. Select this mullion, unpin it, delete on your keyboard. Now this panel, tab to select it, because this is going to select the entire curtain wall, but I just want that panel right there. Tab, select it, and unpin it. You cannot delete panels in Revit. So what you can do is tell this panel to be invisible. So if I go down to my properties and I look at all my options here for what can be replaced, can be replacing this piece, I'm going to come down here and use empty system panel and use that option there called empty. And lo and behold, it's gone. Now for the purposes of this exercise, I'm only going to do the one side here. Obviously the other side will have the exact same procedure. So what is this height exactly? I need to determine from the top of this mullion to the bottom of the floor, what is that height exactly as a sort of point of reference for myself. So I'll type DI for the dimension command, and I'll go from the top of this mullion, and again, it won't select it, so I'm going to cycle through all the options using tab. Tab, that's the bottom. Tab, that's the top. Click. Top to the ground, and pull that over here. So I've got 7 foot, 8 foot 7.25. So there's my notched curtain wall panel. There's the notch. I need to build a wall that's going to be placed right there. So let's try it using a wall on the second level that's been pulled down to absorb this gap, and then notch the wall and see if that procedure works as sort of an exercise. So let's go to the second level here, and you'll notice I can't see, actually in this case I can see a ghost of my first floor level, only because here underlay is turned on, and underlay says from the second level, show me the first level. Between level 1 and level 2, show me the plan looking down. And that's why this is ghosted here. And you can confirm here that the last piece has not been segmented. You see here, that's a straight edge. And so this piece here is the one that's been removed. So this is kind of the look that I'm after. And I want to have a reference plane describe to me exactly where that cut of the wall is supposed to be to fill this gap. So I will use a reference plane here, and I will draw a arbitrary reference plane here using the line command. Now I'm just going to draw a line here. And I'm going to align it with the edge of that mullion there. So AL to align. I highlight the edge of the mullion. I choose what is going to align to it. There. And there's my my edge of my opening. So I'm going to build a wall on the second floor and try to make its base lower to fill that gap. So An easy way to do this is, I mean, you can draw a wall here, and that's fine. But a quick way to do this would be to just copy this wall on the first floor to the second floor, and then turn it into whatever wall type you want. So I'll go to the wall on the first level here, level 1. I'll select this wall. I'll use the copy command here. And I'll use paste, open the menu, and I'll use the align to selected levels tool, which will copy this to another floor. And the floor I want to copy it to is the second floor here. Hit OK, go to 3D quickly, and you'll see you've got a copy on top of itself. I'll then take this wall here, and I'll convert it into a standard wall type. Let's call it 12 inches for now. There. Now, as it turns out, curved walls in Revit do not allow the edit profile command to work. So if I click on this, you'll notice here, edit profile is not working. Normally, if you have a straight wall, let's say here, and you choose it, choosing edit profile will convert this wall into a line drawing here. Now this line has to be completely enclosed. It has to be a loop. So if I were to come into here and say, for example, draw some edges here and then trim the edges, or TR, trim this to here and this to there, that's a closed loop. You can even go into this drawing and draw something inside, and that'll be an opening. Whatever the case may be, whatever you do to this object here in the edit profile command, and once you hit OK, it's going to affect the design of that wall. That becomes a hole, that becomes a notch out of this wall. You see a ghosted image of where the wall used to be. Reset profile returns it to its original shape. Unfortunately, if I delete this and I choose my curved wall, that tool does not exist. Edit profile, reset profile are dead on arrival. So that's not good. We can't use those tools. Therefore, I need to come up with another method of notching out the bottom of this wall so that it fills this gap. So let's first make the bottom of the wall align with the top of that opening there. So from the north elevation, I'm going to select this wall, and I need to pull this down to line up with that edge there. You can use the align tool, or AL again, and I need to select the top of this mullion. It'll default to the center, but again, tab lets you cycle through all the options that are available. Tab, and suddenly the top is available. Click on it now, and something may have appeared. Okay, so AL for align, go to here, choose the bottom of this wall, and it's not doing anything. Let's pull this down further to exaggerate the fact that it's going to be pulled further down. It might have grabbed something by mistake, so I'm going to undo this for a second. Control Z, Control Z. Let's see what's going on. Oh, there's my sample wall. Delete that. Let's try that again. So from the front elevation, this is going to get pulled down lower than it. And it seems here that it doesn't like the lowering of the curved wall below its level. For example, here, it's on level 2, and it doesn't let me move the base or the bottom of the wall lower than its current location. And that might be a bug, an oversight. Hit apply, and yet again, this should have been 2 feet below the second floor, and yet I see nothing here. That might be a product of the curtain wall. The fact that the curtain wall is set to embed, which means it is meant to erase part of the wall that intersects. So let's click on this storefront for a second and take a look at its settings under edit type. And you see here, automatically embed, it's checked. It means that when it intersects the wall, it will cut out of that wall. So maybe the problem is the wall is being cut off by this curtain wall, and therefore I cannot see the work I'm trying to accomplish. So I'm going to turn that off for a second. And normally, let's be clear, I typically would not do these modifications to this curtain wall here called storefront. If I'm going to customize it, I typically would duplicate it first. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to call it sort of my initials here. Hit OK. I'm going to turn that off. Therefore, it has no effect on any other wall that intersects it. Hit OK. So this has been modified. And I'm not sure why, but there seems to be another grid line that showed up here automatically. So let's get rid of that grid line. Tab, click on the grid line, unpin it, and hit delete. Removing grid lines removes the entire mullion. And that one just appeared all of a sudden, that one there, which is bizarre. Tab, click on the grid line, use remove, and then remove it again. I'm not sure what was going on there. Okay, we're back to square one. Let's try to grab this wall, and let's see if, in fact, I can modify it. So let's make a copy again. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to take this wall again, use duplicate, go to paste. Actually, that's called copy. Go to paste, copy it to the second level again. Take this copy, convert it into a 12-inch wall, and grab that arrow and pull it down and see if it works this time. And suddenly it works. Something about the fact that this used to be a embedded curtain wall that got converted into a wall somehow manipulated the settings for that wall. Therefore, I started from square one. So I knew something was strange about that. That should have worked just fine. I should have gotten that arrow there. So I want to align the top of this to the bottom of that. You can do it here, AL. Hit tab to find the top of the mullion. Hit the bottom of that wall here, and it connects. You can also do it in 3D. Go 3D, do the same thing. AL is called align. Under modify, the align tool is right there. Go to here. Where do you want to head? You want to go to there, the top surface here. I can't select it, so hit tab, tab, tab until you find it. There, that's the top. Click, that's where I'm heading. And now select what moves there, what gets aligned to that position. Well, it's going to be the bottom of this curved wall, which is right here. And as you hover, you can see the bottom. This is the, this is the back. There's some other parts and pieces of this wall you can select, but the bottom is obviously right there in blue. Click, move it down. So now I've got the wall lined up with that top of the mullion. I need to cut out this piece of the wall here. And so that can be done using a model in place, which is a custom 3D model. It's not a system family like a curtain wall, door, window. It's a customized 3D model that I build on the fly. So back in my floor plan, actually my second level, I'll do it here. I can see here, this is my curved wall on the second level. So I need to cut out a piece of this and leave this piece here alone. So what I'll do is I will build a model and I'll trace it to make it clearer. I'm going to go to display style wireframe. I'm going to cut this wall out here. I'm going to go up this way, go across the entire curtain wall, and then down and cut out this chunk of the wall right there, which will leave this leg at the end behind. All right, so let's do that. Let's go back to hidden line. Go back to the second floor. Let's build that custom object that's going to do the deleting for me. And if this is confusing, you can always turn off underlay. If you don't want to see the first floor here, you can set this to none, and you won't see any other level except the one you're on currently, which is the second level. So, architecture component model in place. This is a custom 3D model. This is the category it's going to be grouped under. Everything you build in Revit is categories under a group. You can use the visibility graphics command or VG to hide categories when you don't want to see them. I want to lock this under the wall category because this is a wall. Therefore, I'll make this object a wall as well. Hit OK. You can accept that. That's fine. And here are some tools to build 3D models. And the one I'm going to use is called Extrude, where if I draw something in a like a profile in plan view, I can give it a thickness, and it becomes a 3D model. So here's Extrude, and I'm going to trace this wall. I'm use the pick lines command, and I'll literally trace the wall. I'll pick this, I'll pick this, I'll pick that edge, and I'll pick here my reference plane. And then I hit escape to cancel out of that. And I'm going to trim these edges because I want a clean loop. So I'm going to type TR, which is right there, the trim command, and keep this and keep this. Keep this and keep this. And it cleans up the intersections. There. There's my loop. And I'm going to hit OK. And I'll go to 3D and take a look at what I built. And there is a custom 3D model right there that is inside my wall. Now that object should come all the way down to the bottom of this wall because I'm going to use it to cut out the wall. It's still selected. Therefore, I can pull on this grip and make it align to the bottom of that wall there. And then here, I need to have it line up with the second level. So there, for example, because this curtain wall rises up to this level line here, the second level. So I'm making it match. Go back to 3D. That object is right there. Now, if I simply leave it alone, it's going to build a 3D model on top of my 3D model. And that's not what I want. I want to build a 3D model that subtracts or erases from something that it overlaps. So I want to select this wall here and cut this out of it. So what I'll do in the same tool is here under modify, use cut. Now actually there's one step. Let me escape for a second. There's one other step. Currently this model here is considered a solid model. Here under properties it says here solid void. It's currently a solid, it's not a void. A void meaning it'll be an object that erases something from it. It uses itself to cut out another object. So I want to convert this solid into a void. Okay. It's meant to be a hole. And then here I'll go to cut, and I'll say, take this wall and cut this void out of it. This void here. Click. And you see here, it cuts it out. And I can accept it. And lo and behold, there's my wall slicing through the curtain wall. This is a very custom situation, but with a few creative commands in Revit, you can make this happen. If you need to modify that shape, that void shape, the object that's invisible here and is cutting out this opening, it typically lands on the edge of the opening. So if you put your mouse on the edge and hit tab, right there, click. Once you select it, it lets you edit the shape here, edit in place. So it's a little tricky because it's invisible. Voids are invisible. So this is the wall right here in properties. That's not the cutout. You can't select the cutout here because there's no way to grab its edge. So typically you select the edge that it impacted, that it removed. So right there, and you put your mouse here and you select that edge. Notice the entire wall doesn't get selected, just that edge gets selected. Then you can edit in place, so it lets you return to that 3D object. It's still here, but it is invisible. But at least now, under the modify panel here, inside this object, this custom in place model, and notice it has some special commands here. It's right here. Therefore, if I make that object rotating around using shift mouse wheel, I can make it taller and it'll cut out a larger section of my wall. When I accept that revision, you'll see it's cutting out a larger portion. It's invisible. And this is what voids do. They cut out themselves out of other objects that they overlap. So to fix that and return to normal, I will simply hit tab, grab that edge right there, click on it with your mouse, edit in place, find it right there, and return it to its proper height. I can do this in an elevation view, maybe north elevation. While it's highlighted, switch views so it's still selected and you can make some changes. I can do this. I can go to plan view, although I can't see anything. I can go to the second floor, there something's highlighted, and go to the north elevation, still highlighted, and determine which view is the best to modify your model. I'm going to grab that grip and I'm going to line it up right there. And I accept the model. I accept that change. And there is your design. This I don't need. Delete. And back in 3D, there is your curved curtain wall with a wall that's been manipulated to carve out that opening. Obviously, you would do the same on the opposite side if you want to mimic what's happening here. Simply take this edge, flip it to that side once you cut out your notch, and then that becomes the border. This is the border of the mullion on the first floor. You can see the mullion must be over here somewhere, and this is right at the edge of the mullion. So you know exactly what to use as a boundary to make sure that alignment right there takes place accurately. Okay, that's it for now. Please send me questions, and we'll catch you next time.